Good morning, my neighbours!
Well, good morning, you sexy mother hubbards. It's Wednesday and it's time for an alternative paper review. First up to the red top Murdochian travel brochure that we give to people when they say they want to see everything that's wrong with Britain. That's right, guys. The Sun. Truly unrivaled journalism here. We've got an attractive lady in a red swimsuit and then some football waggy gossip in the shape of Kyle's a dad for the 6th time. Great. Meanwhile, over to the Times, who say smacking children must be outlawed, say doctors. It must be outlawed. Like it's not against the law now to hit your kid. I could have been hitting my kids this entire time. Next, we go to the Daily Mirror, who cover last night's parliamentary vote, which seeks to effectively ban smoking for kids born in or after 2009. Do we really need to ban these kids from smoking? I mean, it sounds like we could just beat them. Now, as well as the obvious health benefits of removing smoking from teenagers' lives, there is also a party political angle to this story as well. Because if this were any other bill, any other policy or initiative going before Parliament at any other time over the last 2 or 3 years, I reckon Sunak wouldn't have had any problem commanding his majority to vote it through. But because of where we are in the parliamentary timeline / Tory death spiral, this is an opportunity for Tories to grandstand. So you had everyone from Kemi Badenoch to Penny Mordaunt to Suella Braverman to even Liz Truss showing up to Parliament to do a speech, each one of them pretending that this is some sort of libertarian issue that they absolutely had to vote against Rishi Sunak for. And that is why you've got headlines like this: leadership hopefuls defy Sunak over smoking ban. Now, can you guess some of the reasons that they gave why they just had to vote this thing down, right? I'll start with Penny Mordaunt, right? She's really wrestled with the idea because she's got family history with throat cancer. But in the end, she decided, I just have to stand up and fight and vote it down, because she says it can't be right that somebody born in this year would have fewer rights to somebody born a year later. Which is, I suppose that's fair enough, Penny. It doesn't seem right that somebody born in one time would have more rights than somebody born a bit later. I mean, I was born in 1980, right? My dad was born in 1948, and yet his entire generation have benefited from what? Affordable housing, a decent NHS. They had freedom of movement for longer than I'm ever going to have it. Plus, I'll be lucky if I even get a pension, and it's easier for his entire generation to vote. Food for thought. What's next? Over to the Express now. Victory for all schools as prayer ritual ban is backed. So, this is the story that Catherine Burblesing, the strictest head teacher in Britain she's always billed, she was sued by a Muslim pupil who wanted the right to kneel down at break time and pray, right? And Burblesing's policy in the school is like, no, that's naughty. So the girl sues the school. She says, this is part of my religious identity. It's policies like these that leave people like me feeling othered and ostracised by British society. Now look, this might appear to be something of a journo-political trap for people like me, because I'm very much agnostic. I don't really believe in God. I also think that there's a school local to us that's a Catholic school. It's very highly rated. It would have been great to get my son in there. But do I think it should maintain this kind of religious restriction on who they will permit into the school? No, I think that's ridiculous. But equally, I think if you as a person, as an individual, happen to be religious, if you want to spend your break time kneeling down and praying, well, then it's fine, crack on. And it just seems like a weird policy to bother putting in and restricting people on an individual level. And on that basis, it's a weird thing for individualistic conservatives with a small c to then celebrate. She's just doing her own thing over there, kneeling down. Why does it bother you so much? Oh, I don't know. It just does. She should conform to the masses for the greater good, just like the rest of us don't. I mean, apart from anything else, if you run a school and you don't want your pupils to pray, you don't even need to put in a policy that restricts them. Remember? You could just beat them. Victory for the bravest head teacher in Britain, says the Mail. The bravest head teacher in Britain, really? Okay, all right. And it's probably just worth noting and just reminding you all that somewhere out there this morning, there is a trembling head teacher on her commute in to a violent East London secondary where there are gangs and drugs and knives found daily on the pupils. But still she goes into school to try to drag them back on the straight and narrow, and every single day they whisper threats in her ear. You gon' get murked, miss. But still, every day she shows up. But still, she's number 2 to Catherine Burblesing and her prayer ban. And you know what's wild? Is Burblesing is being celebrated now by the same people who voted down the smoking ban, right? The smoking ban that is there to save kids' lives. Just think about that for a second. That means that in their minds, a little Muslim girl praying is more dangerous than a cigarette.